We're going to go through a couple of halachas and hagas from Shlomo Zalman Auerbach concerning slichos. First of all, there's some places slichos where we say things which are not personally true necessarily for us. For example, we say Shachar Kamti, and Shachar Kamti and there are various different permutations of that and many different slichos about getting up early, which really are referring to people who get up before Los Shachar. And most of us, even though you do get up early, you don't get up before Los Shachar. So the question is, how can we say this? So Shlomo Zalman says, on the one hand, certain of these things we can say because our primary kavanah is how it relates to us. Even though in some abstract sense it means you're getting up before dawn. For us, it means getting up early. A person says, Selichos al das atzmo, so to speak, with his personal perspective as part and parcel of Selichos. But there are other Selichos where it's harder to say that, such as a place where, and again, the various permutations of this in Ashkenaz or Edot HaMizrach, things like, Yir tzom mifanecha shomer kol b'chios. Selichos Baruch should hear our cries, and put our tears into his container. And unfortunately, the overwhelming majority of us do not cry during Selichos. Halavai, we should cry when we say it during the Eilah. Even that's very difficult. But the point is, so how can you say these words? You're not supposed to lie when davening for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we have in mind that if we're not crying, perhaps somebody in our community, Halavai, we have people in the community which are davening who are crying, and their cries should be put in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's container, or the cries of Am Yisrael. So therefore, even if we are ourselves not literally fulfilling the words which are saying during Selichos, nevertheless, we're allowed to say them because we are talking about not ourselves as individuals, but Am Yisrael, and it includes people who actually are in that state of being able to cry during Selichos. The Shlomo Zalman talks about the Selichos in which we turn to the Malachim. Machnisi Rachim is the famous example. I was very upset a few years ago. The first time I went to see Mashas back in the 90s, it was during Elul, and they were singing Machnisi Rachamim, and and during Slichos, there's a heter, we'll see, but what heter is that to sing Machnisi Rachamim if it's not during Slichos? But in any event, the idea is that when a Malach is in charge of something, you're allowed to turn to the Malach and say to the Malach, do what you're supposed to do. It's interesting, it brings down from the Magen Avram. Then we say at the end of davening, Osa Shalom Yirmavi, Asa Shalom Aleinu Koso B'Imru Amen, and we say that silently. We say B'Chid, say it silently. Who is saying B'Imru Amen? So the Magen Avram is saying to Malachim. So you're allowed to say to Malachim and say Amen, because that's your job. When we daven, you're supposed to say Amen. You can say them to Malachim and command them and direct them and even supplicate them to do what they're supposed to do. And of course, as Shalom Aleichem is famous for that, where they say Bruchuni L'Shalom, and Chaim Volozhin used to not say it, but we say it because we're just telling the Malachim to do what they're supposed to do, and that is something which we're allowed to do, again, at the appropriate time, appropriate place, right? Friday night, they're supposed to be Varachas. Probably could not say in the middle of the week, Baruchuni L'Shalom to Malachim, because the Gemara says they come Friday night to be Mavarechas. But when it's appropriate time and appropriate responsibility, then one is allowed to say that to the Malachim.